Hello One Piece nerds, welcome to another video. Today let's talk about fights in WANO. So, I've been meaning to make this video for a long time. I just wanted to wait until Kaido versus Luffy was over. And now presumably if that is over, I'm not saying it is, I have another speculation on that as well, which will be coming in the next video. But this one I want to talk about the fights in general. Let's talk about Luffy versus Kaido so far. And, well, after chapter 1049, everything feels weird. The fights all felt weird, honestly to everyone else, and as well as to me. The fights don't feel complete. It's as though the Straw Hats have beaten the Beast Pirates with not so much of a, not so much of a challenge, but rather it was just fight until the fight is over. Fight is over for the sake of the fight being over, not because of a legitimate victory, which usually happens in most other arcs, most other major arcs. When you see Enies Lobby to Thriller Bark to Dressrosa, everything from that to this feels as though the fights were legitimate. The fights were hard fought. The fights were won because of the Straw Hats overcoming something, overcoming a part of themselves, or, showing something new to us, and overcoming the opponent by creating with something new, or rather, some sort of a personal stake. In the raid so far, in whatever the fights we've seen, from the Straw Hats with the Tobiropos and the All-Stars and everything we've seen so far, it feels as though it didn't happen. That hit wasn't there. Maybe because I've been reading week to week or watching week to week, it doesn't feel the same. But I think that's just my opinion. But when you see other people as well who's been caught up to One Piece, from Enies Lobby, Marineford, Fishman Island, even Dressrosa for that example, I don't, everyone have said the same thing. The fights in Wano felt as though it finished too quick, without much of a stake, without much of a hurdle to come through for most of the Straw Hat fights. Now, I'm not saying every single fight in Wano has felt bad. Zoro and King felt amazing, honestly. Zoro and King felt great for two vice captains going up against each other. Vice captains, first strongest. After Oda brought up the fact that Zoro is not the vice captain, it's so weird, honestly. And I will make a video on that as well. These are upcoming two of my projects that I've been working on. But as for, there's also Sanji versus Queen, which also felt very great because Sanji now has an understanding of his character, understands his depth. We've had a clarification. We've had some sort of a character development moment for Sanji after the whole Germa incident, which made us feel that the Queen versus Sanji fight was worth it. It was overcome through Sanji's skills and his acknowledgement of his powers as well as himself. And it feels great. That felt great as well. Now, as for Luffy versus Kaido, I feel as though Oda didn't want the typical fight. When I mean the typical fight, I mean what happened with Luffy versus Rob Lucci and Luffy versus Crocodile. All of them had 3 fights, and Luffy lost the first 2, winning the last one. This time, however, Luffy had 4 fights. He lost 3. Presumably, this one is going to be a win, or maybe a draw. That is for another speculation, but this is weird because we've had 4 losses in a row. Now, you can justify the fact that some of the rounds weren't counted as losses because Kaido just underestimated Luffy. That being said, I still think that it has been offbeat. Now, the whole Act 3 from starting of the raid till now has felt weird. I'm going to tell you why. This is going to be another follow-up video that I'm going to make this week because I think the whole community is already in an eruption about the fact that the fights are finishing too quickly, and some of the fights are resolved in a very nonchalant and non-typical One Piece way, which is a fair criticism. I'm not saying that is bad. As a fan of One Piece, as someone who loves it so much, I still have to agree with the critiques saying that Wano has felt different. Now, let's talk back to the fights. When I talk about fights, Oda puts a lot of emphasis on the opponents of each of the Straw Hats in every single arc. Each of the Straw Hats are faced with equal challenges, opponents of equal levels, and they overcome the hurdle, becoming stronger than their previous self and becoming stronger than their opponent, preparing them to face against stronger opponents. That has been happening all throughout One Piece until we hit Onigashima. Now, why do I say this? Another fight, sorry, I just completely forgot about this. Another fight that has felt very good is Robin versus Black Maria, because Robin overcame a hurdle, she has shown us a new technique, and that is going to make her a significantly stronger fighter, and just made us, reassure that she is definitely a fighter. She's just not an archaeologist who knows Void Century, she knows how to fight. That's what we've seen through Robin, we've seen what she's learned in the time skip, and this was her moment. That fight also felt very great. As for the other fights, Jinbei versus Who's Who, Sasaki versus Frankie, Ulti and Page 1 didn't even have a fight. I mean, what was that, Oda? I mean, what the hell? And Nami didn't get much of a character moment. She usually gets a typical one-on-one fight in which she either gets some sort of a help or finishes the opponent by herself. This didn't even happen this time. This time, Nami had no role. Almost no role. Aside from the fact that she had Zeus as a power-up, we didn't see her display that power-up properly. Maybe a little bit, but the fight was the fight she deserved to show off her powers. Felt bad, honestly. Chopper also didn't have a proper fight. The only thing he did was overcome the Ice Oni virus. And Usopp didn't even do anything in this arc, if you ask me. He's done nothing. Typically, you see Usopp do little things here and there, that acts of bravery. I'm not talking about Dressrosa. In Dressrosa, Usopp was held in such a high measure that he became the number one target in the whole Dressrosa arc. He became the top priority just under Luffy, and that's how he got his big boosted bounty. And I think that goes to show Usopp's heroism, but this arc wasn't that. And even if I forget about Dressrosa, I talk about Enies Lobby, I talk about Thriller Bark, everywhere. And even in Alabasta, Usopp had fights that, were justified. The fights felt great. The fights felt as though it gave Usopp more character, it gave Usopp more depth. He had something to do and some hurdle to overcome. In Dressrosa, he had awakened observation haki, and, well, to see Usopp being in such a state where he's done almost nothing to this point, nothing significant, in my opinion. Feel free to disagree, but I don't think he's done anything significant in this arc. Nami probably got Zeus, but Usopp did almost nothing to that extent. And usually he gets a better character arc than most other people. I'd say the 9 Red Scabbards got better development than Usopp did in this arc. No hate on Usopp though. I just feel as though the Straw Hats weren't given justice in this arc. Maybe I'm the only one thinking this, maybe I'm the only one who's being too harsh on the Straw Hats or on Oda for not showing us a proper fight. But this is not optimal. This is not how One Piece fights are. Now, why do I think this is? I'm bragging, I'm blasting on about how everything felt off and how most of the fights weren't even that hard hitting. What's my point? My point is, I think the fights weren't meant to be taken seriously. I'm gonna harp on this until I'm proven guilty, or until I'm proven right, or until I'm proven wrong. I think there's going to be an outside force interfering in Wano. For so long, we've been talking about WANO not being infiltrated. WANO is an isolated country. No one enters WANO. The government does not care, and no one can enter or leave WANO, and it is isolated, and no one in the world has anything to do with it. I think that is wrong. I think that has to be proven wrong. I think Oda needs to prove that WANO was never an isolated country. It was just on the border, but in fact, a lot of people had connections to WANO. The world government did, some other pirates did, and it's actually very easy to infiltrate. The Straw Hats are a prime example. They infiltrated Wano with such an ease that until Luffy showed up, there wasn't really much of a ruckus. And I think the world government being somewhat interested in Wano has to be displayed one way or the other after the whole raid is over. And there has to be a third force. I don't know who it is, whether it be the world government or Blackbeard or even Shanks for that matter. I don't care who shows up, but I want a third party show up. If Oda's going to create the biggest war in history after Wano, a third party has to show up. Or else, this just felt like another build-up, which doesn't feel right. As for more thoughts on this, please wait a little on the video I'm going to make very soon. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, or liked it, disliked it, I don't care. Just comment down below what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.